Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. I had a couple requests to make a Santa and Rudolph themed cake, so here it is and let's get right into it. I'm starting out with two 6-inch cakes that I've cut in half and I've leveled, and I'm going to be filling those with some Swiss meringue buttercream using my small offset spatula. Once my cake is stacked up, I'm going to be applying a thin layer of my buttercream all around the outside of my cake to lock in those crumbs, and then that's going to be going into the fridge for about 25 minutes to chill. Once you can touch your finger to the buttercream and none of it comes off, it's ready for the final ice. So I'm adding a big dollop of my buttercream on top and then just using my small offset spatula and my turntable to smooth out the top so it's nice and level. And then I'm going to be applying more buttercream to the sides of my cake in a nice thick layer. I'm grabbing my bench scraper and going along the sides, just going around and around until it's nice and smooth. And for all of the buttercream that accumulated on the top of my cake, I'm just pulling that into the center, making sure not to mess up my nice level top. That's going back in the fridge to chill, and then I'm going to be starting on my fondant. So I have this light blue color that I'm rolling out on my cornstarch surface to about 1/8 of an inch thick. I'm picking that up with my fondant roller and draping it over my chilled cake, and then just moving quickly with my hands and my fondant smoother to push all the air out from the top of my cake, and then working down the sides, just pulling out all those pleats in the skirt of the fondant and smoothing down until I reach the bottom. I went around my cake with my fondant smoother one more time and then grabbed my pizza cutter to cut off the excess fondant at the bottom. Since my cake is going to be 2 tiers, I need to add some support. It's a small cake, so I'm just using some regular straws, but if you're making a larger cake, you need to use something more sturdy like the wooden dowels or those large bubble tea straws. I've spaced my straws out evenly into my bottom tier, and then I'm just using some scissors to cut those down so that they are flush with the cake. I'm adding a schmear of buttercream to the top of my cake and then placing a brown 4-inch tier on top. I know you can see a couple of tears in that brown fondant, but it's going to be covered, so we're not going to worry about it. I'm going to start with the top tier, which I want to look like Rudolph's head, and I'm going more for the claymation version of Rudolph because that's my fave. So I have this light pinky purple fondant that I'm rolling out, and I'm going to cut a long strip out of that with my pizza cutter. Using a little bit of shortening, I'm just wrapping that around the base of my top tier, and this is like the rain / collar, I don't know. It's kind of a weird color. It was what the movie showed, so if you're not digging it, then you can use a different color, but I just wanted to be more accurate. Next, I'm rolling out some white fondant fairly thin, and then I have this teardrop template, so I'm cutting 2 of those out. If you have a teardrop cutter, you can go ahead and use that. I cut a teeny tiny piece off the end and then just rounded that out with my finger. Then I rolled out some black fondant and cut out 2 more of those teardrop shapes, the exact same size. And then using a circle cutter, I'm just cutting it down because this is going to be the pupil for the eye, so I want it to be a bit smaller. Again, just using a little bit of shortening, I just attach those in place. Using my fondant extruding tool, I rolled out this long snake of black fondant, and I'm just lining the eye with that. To create the mouth, I'm taking some white fondant and rolling out this oval shape, and then I'm pressing that into my countertop because I want to flatten 2 of those sides And then with some brown fondant, I did the exact same thing. And this is just so that they fit together really nicely. So one half of it is brown, one half is white, but you don't really lose the shape at all. You have that nice clean line going through the middle of it. I attached that to the front using a little bit of water, and then with my balling tool, I just indented a circle and added a little ball of red fondant into there. To make his little nubby antlers, I have this dark brown fondant that I rolled out into a pudgy snake, and I cut that in half and then placed those on either side just above his eyes. For his ears, I rolled out some more of my brown fondant, and then with my X-Acto knife, I started off with this like diamondy type shape, and then using my fingers, I just rounded off the edges and blunted the end pieces, and then just kind of played with it until I was happy with the way it looked. Rolling out some fondant that I dyed with a little bit of ivory, I just cut out some similar type shapes for the inside of the ear. I let my ears dry for a little bit, and then to make it so they could actually fit into the cake, I flipped them over and added 2 skewers and then 2 pieces of brown fondant over those, and then I let those dry for about an hour before I tried to add them to my cake. For the bells going around his collar, I started out with some white fondant. I rolled out a bunch of the same sized balls, and then using my fondant tool, I created a cross right in the center of each ball, and then on the end of each point of that cross, I used my fondant tool to mark in a hole. Taking more of my white fondant, I'm rolling that out really thin, as thin as I can get it, and then I cut out these really thin strips and wrapped those around the middle of each of my bells. Once I attached those around the collar using a little bit of water, I then grabbed my Rollcomb Super Gold Luster Dust and I mixed that with a little bit of vodka and then brushed that over each bell. For Santa's face, I have more of that ivory fondant that I'm rolling out, and then I'm just cutting out like a circle of it. It doesn't really matter, it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be roughly the size of the face that you're going for. I have a template that I made of a Santa's face, and I will link the one that I used down below. So basically, I'm just going to start cutting apart my template into all the separate pieces, and then using my X-Acto knife or just shaping it with my fingers, I'm just going to create each piece. So I've placed that circle of ivory fondant onto the front of my cake, and then after I cut out the beard with my X-Acto knife, I just added that to the front and used my template as a guide to make sure I stuck it in the right spot. I used my fondant tool to just mark some lines in the bottom of the beard just to give it a little more dimension. I added the little pieces for his mustache, and then I tucked the nose in right above that, and I grabbed my fondant tool just to mark in where his eyes were gonna go. I rolled out 2 little black balls of fondant and added those in place for his eyes, and then I added the strip for his cap right above that. I started out by placing his ear on one side in front of his little pom-pom, but I did end up changing that so that both of his ears were tucked behind. And then I added his eyebrows. It just took a little finagling to get them in the right position, but with a little bit of patience, it all came together. Lastly, I added the red part of his Santa hat, and then I rolled out a bunch of different sized white balls of fondant and just added those in place using a little bit of water to look like snow falling. And this was the final result, guys. Thank you so much for suggesting this. I really do appreciate when you guys comment to let me know what you'd like to see. I may not be able to get to it right away, but if I can make it happen eventually, then I will do my best. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and to subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. I will see you in the next one.